Alrighty friends, the day has come to discuss Season 3's final episode titled, I Thought You'd Never Shut Up. Having Mark face off against his and Earth's strongest foe yet, the not-so-little Conquest. To help give Mark the push he needs in order to get the people of Earth to agree to join the Viltrum Empire. Make sure you have your snacks ready, sit back, relax, and let's jump right in. They give you zero time to prepare right after the intro, just throw you into a flying punch. Poor Mark. Usually he'd get at least a day or two of rest in between episodes and fights. But first he has to fight different versions of his strong-ass self for 3 days. And then as soon as it's over, this bulldog-looking mofo shows up to just satisfy his lust for blood and destruction.
I'm here because I enjoy this. The truth is, I want you to resist.
This guy is one sick dude though. Finishing his rant stating that there's no better pleasure in life than
feeling the warmth of my fists drenched in blood.
Which we'll comment on again later. Enraging Mark so much that he decides to take him on a tour of the city. Conquest loves seeing the sights though.
I want more!
Giving him what he seeks out so desperately, Mark uses his special move of double ear smacks that we saw in last episode, just as he uses his big brain to decide to bring this fight with Conquest off planet. Even though Conquest is enjoying their little off-world date, he wants more of the sights. I think being on Earth and fighting all of the villains that live there has made Mark a little too cocky though. I know your name is... But he needs to chill out thinking that he's God.
You still sure this is gonna go your way?
Damn near certain.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the exact way that Conquest thought it would go. He's just throwing you around like a rag doll. Catching back up across the city to meet up with Debbie, Paul, and Oliver, just hanging out watching the news as always. Oliver goes to run upstairs to put his suit on before being stopped by Debbie, but this time not stopping him completely, instead giving words of confidence and advice on how to stay safe.
Keep moving and keep your distance. And if it's too dangerous, you get out of there. Understand?
Breaking down crying, Paul comes over to give Debbie words of comfort by saying,
They have been in these situations before.
And they'll be fine, before Debbie says what we're all thinking.
Not like this, Paul. It was never like this.
I remember when Lady Maj and I were watching this episode for the first time, we literally said the exact same thing at the exact same time as Debbie. It was crazy. Paul, we know that you know that they're all superheroes, but at the end of the day, you don't know the severity of things. It's cool you're trying to help comfort Debbie, but sometimes letting people go through their emotions until they're ready to talk is the best bet. This episode is so chaotic. Between cities getting toppled over, Mark and Conquest spanning oceans to fight, and Oliver flying to try and catch up, my blood pressure is through the roof. Conquest flying towards Mark is begged to stop. Does indeed stop in front of him on the ground, but does not give in to his talk no jutsu.
Just listen.
You think I'm gonna give you a chance to surrender?
Even giving him more words of encouragement.
You can do this. You just need the right motivation.
What do you know? The right motivation comes at the perfect time. Until he gets his face smashed in and Conquest decides to bring the fight across town once Mark decides to try and save Oliver. The beatdown that Mark giving is insane, but you can tell that the animators decide to use the budget for a fight later on down the road than this fight right now. I'm not sure if it's just me, but it's so choppy that it kind of takes away from the immersion of the fight. Flashing to the Pentagon for the first time this episode to check in on the GDA, Cecil is freaking out, sounding like me when one of my files corrupts on the day of upload.
This has to happen now, of all times. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Visiting Sinclair to check on the new batch of Reanimen, but seems like it's going to be the Reanimen 2.0 with this new design they cooked up, with Sinclair even stating,
You have no idea how dense their muscle tissue is. They're going to be godlike when we're done.
Joining Eve and her parents in the hospital wing for the first time this episode, Adam doesn't understand the complex necessities of needing heroes around.
Again? When will these people give up?
Does he not understand that if people like his daughter or other supers were around, his bald ass would be like dead or a slave or something? Is it problematic to call them supers? I feel like it sounds like it should, but Adam's complaint about tax dollars though triggers something in Eve, waking her up from her coma.
We're in a hospital.
Paid for by my tax dollars.
Dad?
Waking to see Mark and Conquest's fight on the TV, she rushes her suit on and tries to fly out the door, before a nurse comes in telling her to calm down since she can't even walk yet.
Do I look like I need to walk?
I don't know why, but the way that she snaps is just so funny to me. As bad as it is to say too, I found this guy falling in the background once we join up with Conquest and Mark's fight again funny as hell too. It's terrible because obviously he dies as we see in the next scene, but the thought of him just like chilling at home eating some potato chips and then flying 20 stories out the window randomly is just hysterical to me. Conquest using Mark as a pair of Heelys.
It's Heelys.
Even telling him about Nolan's execution.
He's dead. Executed just before I left.
Oh man, if only you knew, buddy boy. Fucking Oliver comes in kicking Conquest in order to save Mark, and even suggesting that Conquest take a lunch break.
Eat one, you old sack of turds.
Someone didn't like that too much though.
I'm gonna split you in half and eat your heart.
I'm not sure if I can show this monologue from how brutal everything happening around it is, so make sure you go over and check out the original production over on Amazon to see the major insanity and brutality of this scene. Luckily, Mark rushes over to take Conquest away from Oliver just as Cecil comes in to grab Oliver and bring him to GDA headquarters, informing Debbie that Oliver is being transported while Eve is asking to talk to, well, not even really asking, more demanding to talk to Cecil.
He's a Viltrumite, Eve. Our guys think he would even take Nolan down.
I can rearrange matter, Cecil.
Alright, but look at what the other universe Marks did to you just to land you in the hospital. This is a Viltrumite that's even stronger. So obviously your rearranging of matter doesn't really, matter. Conquest is such an asshole.
I don't want you to miss this.
Jesus Christ. I might get a strike for showing that, but there is absolutely no way I'd be able to describe it. Doing another flip punch, Mark forces Conquest away just before he's stopped by this giant pink circle.
Please.
Oh yes, Mark. Oh yes.
Get away from him, you animal.
Mark trying to save Eve gets his thigh karate chopped. Eve going full Power Ranger mode in order to take on Conquest, but he doesn't seem too terrified of this new transformation.
Cute.
I know I'm not the biggest Eve fan, but she does put up a pretty good fight against Conquest. Dipping and diving, even changing the density of the air around Conquest to make it harder for him to move.
What?
But again, where are all these new abilities coming from? Unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
So pretty.
What a lunatic and what an insane scene. I was not expecting that kind of brutality. I do want to touch base really fast on what Conquest says about all the mission parameters. Remember when we discovered that Alan's mentor was a Viltrumite? And then Nolan told Alan about the most closely guarded Viltrumite secret over in episode 4? I propose that a non-pure-blooded Viltrumite could be stronger like a non-pure-blooded Saiyan due to their emotions. I'm guessing that my initial theory in episode 4 is correct, to the point that they send Conquest to make sure that it doesn't happen, especially when they start to fight again. Just look at Mark pushing his way through Conquest's Thanos gauntlet. Look at his face! He's just as surprised as we all were during this fight, even messing up his own arm in the process. But that's not stopping him from giving Conquest this combo though. We can tell they don't have anime in the Viltrum Empire though.
Getting mad doesn't make you stronger.
But Mark isn't just mad, he's feral. I don't even understand how she's still alive after all of that. Oh wait. Yes, I do. She's Ex Machina Eve! Just as Conquest is letting Mark in on a little trauma dump session.
All the other Viltrumites are scared of me. No one talks to me. I am so lonely.
With death approaching, Mark is trying to do his best to break Conquest's grip. Tears streaming down his face, hears a familiar voice call out in the distance, creating such a questionable moment that even Conquest stops what he's doing to check out what the hell's going on. Unleashing her own Gallic gun to melt off all of Conquest's skin, which is pretty dope, but of course their moment's ruined by her snappy one-liner.
Jerk.
However, all this did was piss Conquest off.
This time I'll make sure she's dead.
Forcing Mark to unleash hidden, super Viltrumite potential.
Don't touch her!
We all know Conquest isn't giving up that easily though, as he breaks Mark's hand and just keeps talking more shit.
Got more than enough fight left in me for you, boy.
Mark isn't lying when he says,
Not enough. Not nearly.
going on a complete mental break, smashing his face into Conquest's like the kid smashing his face into the desk at the back of the classroom, killing Conquest in the process. Crawling his way over to Eve to let her know,
I love you.
Before both passing out in the battle-torn terrain, just as Cecil and the Guardians show up to witness the aftermath.
Huh.
How the hell is that your only response? I guess it makes sense since we didn't even think that Mark stood a chance against Conquest, but then emotions, right? Being woken up at the hospital 3 days later, Mark asks Eve what's going on, but then he says he remembers everything, so I'm confused. Learning how Eve survived the battle with Conquest and even death by her explaining,
I was given powers while I was still in the womb, but they put in mental blocks to limit what I could do.
Sinclair is getting yelled at by Cecil in order to get those Reanimen 2.0s up and running.
It simply can't be rushed.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Which I didn't even notice at the beginning of this episode when we saw Sinclair, but if you look in the background, one of the Reanimen that he's working on in the background has the Immortals' clothes on, so like, what the fuck is up with that? I could be wrong and it could just look like the Immortals' clothes, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Paul and Debbie show up to the hospital while Mark and Eve are cuddling, breaking down apologizing about how guilty she feels that her and Nolan allowed him to become a hero. But Mark gives her the peace of mind that Mama was looking for.
You did everything right.
Just as Cecil comes in to thank Mark, but Mark cuts him off to ask him the real questions.
I wanted to thank...
Where's Conquest? Where's his body?
Before flashing to a body bag being unwrapped showing Conquest's squished head, Mark flying away tells Cecil to
burn it.
But after hearing the way that Cecil says,
Yeah.
along with the look on his face, we can determine that he's most likely not gonna burn it. Joining the gang for Rex's funeral, Rudy's giving a speech deciding to even steal Rex's fucking name.
I am changing my name from Rudy to Rex.
Like, it's bad enough you stole his DNA to make a clone of him without his permission, but now you're gonna steal his name too after he died? I definitely have to say, Rudy and Monster Girl are my least two favorite Guardians.
I love you, Rex.
God, that's so creepy, just stop! Everybody goes up to share their pieces about the dearly departed Rex, while Eve goes on to this heartfelt message about how much she loved him to Mark, and Mark's just standing there like, haha, he's dead, you're mine now. Ending the episode with a couple different stories going on. Firstly, we have our usual Grayson household ending with Mark and Eve getting busy. In the sewers, you have those hive mind creatures becoming a collective unit, taking over multiple humans and rats after being brought back from Mars by the astronauts all the way back in season 1. Ice Chunk Battle Beast is just floating through space before being picked up by these two creatures that we've never seen before. Angstrom is shown being repaired by the technicians.
It is done.
Donald, in a secret bunker 6 miles underground, asks Cecil if it's truly a good idea to be keeping Conquest's head, with Cecil's reasoning being,
as soon as he regains consciousness, he's gonna tell us everything about the Viltrum Empire.
Oliver is hyped to be getting out of the hospital and help Mark around the city.
I'll listen to you and everything. I promise I'll be good.
Stating to Oliver about how maybe he was right about killing the people who are truly evil. Ending the episode completely on the post-credits scene of Damien Darkblood making his return, summoning his master, the Dark One, to inform him that a powerful surface dweller with a blackened heart has been found in which he could be bound in order to do their service. I'm wondering if he's talking about Mark, since he just took that oath to kill anybody that puts his loved ones in harm's way. That's going to do it for this review of the Season 3 finale of Amazon Prime's original series Invincible. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more series and movie breakdowns. If you're a fan of gaming, check out the Twitch channel along with all your favorite social media platforms in the description below. Until next time, I love you all. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Clementine head from Mark bashing his face against it during their battle from Season 2, Episode 8. Somehow still alive despite looking like Hamburger Helper, creates a portal to get back to the technicians.